In this ViewSonic training video, we're going to look at the VCastReceiver app on your ViewSonic panel. In order to access it, it will be right here, possibly within your favorite apps or your shortcut apps, or the drop-down arrow, you might find it there as well. So I'm going to click here to access that VCastReceiver app. When I click on it, you'll notice it just refreshed the code. What VCastReceiver is on the panel, it allows you to receive a device wirelessly. That might look like any, and I say any, school-owned device. So that might look like a teacher device that has been given, like a Chromebook, an iPad, or a teacher workstation or laptop that's Windows-based. And it can also be received by a student device that might look like a Chromebook or any other type of device like an iPad or a Windows laptop that your school may have purchased. Like I said, these all need to be school devices and they must be on PodNet in order to talk or receive from the panel. This receiver app has a lot of features. First, when you open it up, and you have to open it in order, for the most part, to get the different settings and things. But once you have that, I'm going to walk through just a few of the basics here, and I'll point to them as well. First, what you can see here is the current PIN that students or teachers would use to actually connect to the device. That's great for safety and security. Unless you're here in the room and can see it, then they can't be let in. The next icon I want to go over is down here. And so this is what we call your device list. So when I click there, you'll see if I had anyone connected, they would show up right here within this list that's empty. And so it allowed me to see the name of the actual device. All would be listed here. So that's nice to be able to choose which ones you want to show and to not show. The next icon we have here, next to that gear, is the settings, and that's what's most important that we're going to go over right now. So within settings, there's a few things I want you to look at. I'll go from top to bottom. First is the device name. If you click this little pencil with the box, it'll allow you to rename your actual panel. And so I highly recommend you use, if it's your classroom, maybe you use your last name and the room number or something like that that's easy for people to quickly identify and select your device to cast to. I chose, since this was a cart in North Oldham High School, and it's the third cart, to name it NOHS Cart 3 so people would know. When you're finished, you can stop and just click that check mark so it will save. The next is the connect code, and so that's what displayed really large in the background here, as well as here. I've kept it on at all times if I'm somewhere else, so also I've chose to have it also showing up here. If you want to refresh that at any time, you just click that rotating arrow, and as you can see, it's now refreshed it in all places. The next thing down is the PIN code visible. Like I said, I wanted it visible at the top of the screen so that no matter where I am, whether I'm on the Chrome browser or any other application, my students can still see it, and so can I. If you don't want that on, all you have to do is uncheck it. So that's your choice as a teacher. The next one is I highly recommend, I have checked on the touch and annotate from mobile because I do have a school-owned iPad or district-owned, and so it is nice that I can use my iPad to cast and then allow that iPad to annotate and move things around from the panel. The next one that should always be unchecked, so not checked off, is that Chromecast enable. And the reason why we say do not do that is because then it does not require a passcode. Students and teachers can find this panel and cast to it without any of that security and protection. So you can see how that could be problematic. So please leave that unchecked. The next is the multiple screens. You can choose how many screens can show up here on the panel at once. I've just left it on 4, so you could have 4 of your devices or 4 students to be able to compare and look at work. And so I'm going to leave that on as 4. So those are the settings you need to know about. And then when you're finished, you can click the OK button. Also, I do want you to note over here on the right-hand side, there's a button that's called PIN Disable. And I just want you to know that we should never be disabling that PIN for safety and security, because just similarly to this, that Chromecast enable, that would not require students to have a PIN or a code and be able to connect to your panel without any permissions. And so we don't want that to happen. And so I'll click OK because these settings are how I want them to be. The next icon down here, just so you know, is that little eye, just gives you more information about the My View Board receiver, the VCast receiver information about like what version and stuff it is. You really don't need to access that. And then last but not least, this last tool is just the home button, and so that just takes you back to the home screen, so it's always there for you. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a very quick video on how to access the VCast receiver on the panel, as well as talking about a couple of the icons and settings within here.